Ever get that feeling when you stumble across something online that just feels a bit weird?
Uh-huh.
Like you've accidentally found some hidden corner, something that doesn't quite line up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's kind of the magic of internet mysteries, isn't it? That pull.
Exactly. And today we're doing a deep dive into one that's, well, pretty fascinating.
We are. We're going to explore this persistent puzzle dug up from Reddit, from internet mysteries.
Right. And then we'll kind of zoom out, look at the bigger picture with some other really enduring online enigmas using a list first article as a guide.
Hmm.
So, yeah, a listener pointed us to this Reddit thread about supposed lost Dragon Ball content. But it's not just the content. It's the person behind the claims. Really persistent.
Yeah, that's a key part of it.
So we're going to dissect this specific, online rabbit hole and then see how it stacks up against the wider world of these internet mysteries, these long-running questions, the strange figures involved sometimes.
And the goal here is really to understand this Dragon Ball thing in context, right?
Yeah.
We want to make sense of it without, getting totally lost in the weeds.
Absolutely. We'll keep it engaging for you.
So our guides for this are two main things. First, that Reddit post by Judgment 7661 that lays out the whole Dragon Ball Ultimate saga.
Okay.
And second, the list first piece, Top 10 Unsolved Internet Mysteries. That gives us the backdrop, the comparison points.
Right. Okay, let's dive into this Dragon Ball Ultimate Mystery then. So this Reddit user, Judgment 7661, they highlighted the ongoing activity of another Redditor, Ekushiaru8.
And this isn't someone who just, dropped a theory once and left.
No, not at all. According to the thread, this person has been talking about supposed lost Dragon Ball stuff for years, like consistently.
We're talking claims about a Dragon Ball GT sequel, stuff that was apparently cut, and even a prequel to Dragon Ball Super called Dragon Ball Ultimate.
Wow.
And what really stands out is just how long this has gone on, the sheer duration, and how unwavering the claims seem to be.
Yeah.
The Reddit post points out, look, discussions about fake sequels like Dragon Ball AF, they've been around since the early 2000s. We know that.
Sure, that's classic internet fan stuff.
But Ikushirade's specific story, this ultimate narrative, has apparently stayed remarkably consistent over a very, very long time.
That kind of dedication, especially with maybe not much proof floating around, it makes you wonder, right? Did the belief itself just become, I don't know, part of their online identity?
It really could have, and the origin story they tell is, well, it's quite something.
Okay, what's the story?
They claim that back in the early 2000s, they saw this Dragon Ball clip in a store, Flushing, Queens, apparently, and it was unlike anything they'd seen.
Huh.
A store clerk supposedly told them, yeah, this footage, it's never going to be released.
Whoa. And what was the clip supposed to be?
Described as, professionally animated,
Yeah.
even better than GT, supposedly.
Uh-huh.
And it featured an evil Super Saiyan 5 Goku fighting the other Z fighters.
Super Saiyan 5. Okay, that.
Yeah. Right. So after seeing this, Ikushiro8 says they went on this quest, trying to find out more about this lost series. And this search apparently led them to people in the animation industry. People who allegedly knew about it, had scripts, drafts for Dragon Ball Ultimate.
So that's the foundation for all the online posts.
That seems to be the backstory they've built their claims on, yeah.
Okay, now this is where the Reddit user, Judgment 7661, did some serious digging.
Yeah, they really went down the rabbit hole.
They started tracing the online history of Ikushiro8 and found this trail going back years.
What did they find?
Well, for starters, archive posts on 4chan, you know 4chan, right? Things disappear there all the time.
Oh yeah, anonymous, ephemeral, hard to track things.
But they found posts from 2015 where Ikushiro was referencing previous claims about Dragon Ball Ultimate, almost like a sort of I told you so, when Dragon Ball Super later introduced some new concepts.
Ah, okay. So connecting older claims to newer official stuff. That's interesting.
It really is. It shows how these online narratives can kind of morph, or how people might reinterpret things to fit their existing belief.
The human tendency, right, to see patterns, to validate what we already think. It can lead down some interesting, maybe not always accurate paths.
Exactly. And it gets even stranger. The Reddit user found a random mention, get this, in a TFW 2005 thread.
Wait, the Transformers forum?
The Transformers forum, Ekushiaru just brings up Dragon Ball Ultimate out of the blue.
Okay, that is random.
And then there's a thread on Kanzensu from 2015. Now, Kanzensu, that's like the place for serious Dragon Ball fans, right? Very detailed.
Absolutely. Very knowledgeable community there.
So on that thread, using a different username, Gomez9, this same person was posting really detailed stuff about this alleged lost content.
Gem is 9.
Okay.
And what's really telling on that Kanzensu thread, apparently, is a quote someone else posted from 2011.
From 2011, wow.
Yeah. This other user was referencing Ekishira's explanations of, like, new cyan forms from way back then.
So this pushes the timeline back even further.
Considerably further. And, as the Reddit poster notes, this starts to make the whole thing feel very speculative, maybe even entirely made up.
Especially the super detailed transformation stuff that often smells like fan fiction territory.
Exactly. It aligns much more closely with fan creations than typically guarded official production details.
But here's the kicker. The biggest find.
Okay.
An old, abandoned blog called randyrants.com.
Randy Rants. Okay.
Starting way, way back in January 2005, under the name Exeru.
Exeru. So Ikushiaru, Gomez 9, Exeru. Right.
This person was already posting about the exact same Dragon Ball Ultimate ideas back in 2005.
Wow, 2005. That's
early. And what's truly wild is they kept commenting on this single blog post for 6 years, until 2011, and then popped up again sporadically after that. The last comments were apparently as late as 2021.
On one blog post? For that long?
Yeah. Just picture someone diligently posting into, well, what probably felt like a void for a lot of that time. It's almost kind of haunting, isn't it?
It really is. That incredibly long stretch of engagement, especially if the audience dropped off, it raises huge questions about motivation.
Totally.
Apparently, the initial comments did get some interaction. Someone even seemed to believe it, wanted to show this lost anime to their kids.
Oh, wow.
But the fact that Yakusharu 8, or Ixero, just kept going with this story for so long, even when people were skeptical or just silent, that's unusual.
Yeah.
What makes someone invest that much time and energy? Is it just deep personal belief? Some kind of expression? Something else?
That's the million-dollar question, right? The Reddit poster, Judgment7661, is basically asking what drives someone to keep up such a detailed, well, lie, or maybe just a deeply held belief for 20 years with hardly any audience.
Right. And they seem to rule out the usual suspects.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like an ARG, an alternate reality game, because there wasn't really any game aspect, and not really promoting fan fiction either, because there wasn't a clear story being pushed.
Which brings us to thinking about, well, the psychology of it all. Online personas, these persistent beliefs people hold on to. What could drive someone to create and maintain the whole Dragon Ball Ultimate thing? Maybe it started with a genuine memory, but one that got distorted over time.
Could be. Or maybe it's a need for attention, even if it's just sporadic. Or just telling a story that became important to them personally.
Possibly. And for the people who get drawn in, even just reading about it now, there's that allure of the unknown, right? The puzzle, maybe you could find something others missed.
Yeah, that human fascination with weird stuff, it's powerful.
Definitely.
Okay, so we've gone pretty deep on this one specific Dragon Ball case. Now let's pull back a bit and connect it to that Listverse article, the broader world of unsolved internet mysteries.
Right. The article makes that great point up front. The internet gives us answers, sure, but man, it also creates its own mysteries that just stick around.
It really does.
And the Listverse piece gives us some really good examples. Some share themes with our Dragon Ball case. Others offer, a contrast.
Okay, let's look at a few. Publius Enigma, Pink Floyd related.
Yeah, connected to their Division Bell album. This puzzle maybe started way back in '94. Cryptic messages online, people claiming Publius showed up at concerts.
Wow.
What's striking there is, again, the long time frame. Decades of engagement. And real uncertainty about whether there's even a solution. Was it the band? Was it fans? Is it solvable?
So that echoes the Dragon Ball thing in terms of just how long it's lasted.
Exactly. That persistence over years, decades even, and ambiguity about what's actually real underneath it all.
But maybe a difference is with Publius, you could imagine maybe a deliberate creator. Or creators, even the band having some hand in it.
Potentially, yeah. Which feels different from the Dragon Ball claims, which seem much more like one individual's very long-term project.
Okay, good point. What else from Listverse? Jack Froze's emails. That sounds ominous.
It is a bit unsettling. This guy, Jack Froze, passed away suddenly. Then his friends and family started getting emails from his account.
Whoa. After he died?
Yeah. And the emails apparently had personal details, inside jokes, stuff only he might know.
Okay, that's creepy. Hoax. Hacked account.
That's the mystery. Was it a hoax? Did someone else have access or
Mm.
something else? The personal nature of it makes it really disturbing for the people involved.
Mm. So how does that compare to the Dragon Ball thing?
Well, it contrasts pretty sharply, I think. The Jack Fro's emails have this direct, real-world emotional impact. Raises questions about death, identity, digital legacy.
Right. Whereas the Dragon Ball claims, while persistent, they're kind of contained within this fictional world, this fandom space.
Exactly. Less direct, real-world consequence, it seems.
Okay. Then there's Chip Cham. Who's that?
Chip Chan was this woman in South Korea, apparently very reclusive, who live-streamed herself. Like, constantly, just sleeping, sitting there.
Live streamed herself sleeping.
Yeah. And viewers got obsessed. Her behavior was unusual. She claimed she was being watched, controlled by a corrupt cop using a microchip.
Whoa, okay.
So it really shows that phenomenon of intense online observation, speculation about these enigmatic figures people find online.
Ah, okay. I see the parallel. Like with Ikushiro rate, maybe not live streaming, but their consistent kind of unusual online activity around this one topic.
Yeah.
It draws attention, makes people speculate.
Precisely. Both Chip Chan and Ikushiro Wait become these focal points for online curiosity because their online presence is just so persistent and a bit strange.
Gotcha. Listverse also mentions the internet's most mysterious song, right? People trying to identify some unknown song.
Yeah, it's a big one. This catchy but totally unidentified song, recorded off the radio probably decades ago. And there's this huge ongoing collaborative effort online to figure out who sang it, what it's called.
So that highlights the community aspect of internet sleuthing,
Exactly. Thousands of people working together, sharing clues, trying to solve it.
which is pretty different from the Dragon Ball case.
Largely, yeah. While Ikushiyar had some interaction early on, it hasn't really sparked that big collective, let's solve this effort like the song has. It's mostly remained this one person's narrative.
Okay. And lastly, Cicada 3301. That sounds familiar. Super complex puzzles.
Yeah, Cicada 3301 was this series of incredibly elaborate puzzles that appeared online, starting around 2012, supposedly designed to recruit highly intelligent individuals.
Recruit them for what?
Nobody knows for sure. That's part of the mystery. It shows how complex, maybe even impactful, online mysteries can be, with potentially real-world goals behind them.
Right. So that's a big contrast, too. Cicada had clear puzzles, interaction, maybe a real-world goal. Dragon Ball Ultimate seems much more self-contained, just the story itself.
A very sharp contrast, yeah. No clear external components or recruitment aims with the Dragon Ball claims, as far as anyone can tell.
Okay, so putting this all together, the Dragon Ball mystery, these broader listverse examples, what are the common threads we're seeing here?
Well, a few things jump out. Definitely the role of these persistent individuals, whether they're creating the mystery or just driving the search. Also, just the sheer difficulty of verifying stuff online. How easily narratives, true or false, can take root and spread.
Yeah, that's a big one.
And the potential for both, genuine misbelief and deliberate hoaxes or elaborate fictions. Plus, underpinning it all is just that human fascination with the unknown, with the puzzle.
Right, even if the level of interest varies a lot between these cases.
Exactly. And what about the psychology behind it all? We touched on it, but the motivations. Why create something like the Dragon Ball claims? And why do we get drawn into this stuff?
Yeah, what drives it?
For the creators, like we said, maybe it's a mix of things. A flawed memory that got bigger over time. A need for expression, attention, hard to know. And for us, the audience, it's the puzzle, right? The challenge. Maybe uncovering something hidden. And just that basic human curiosity about things that are strange, unexplained.
It's interesting, though, to see the difference. Some mysteries, like finding Satoshi Nakamoto or figuring out if a viral video is real, they can feel like they have real stakes.
Absolutely. Real-world money, reputations, technology involved.
Whereas the Dragon Ball case, it feels very much embedded within its own world, right? A fictional universe, a fan community. Deeply important there, maybe, but different stakes.
A great distinction to make. And hopefully for you listening, seeing this specific kind of weird case put next to these other big internet mysteries gives some perspective.
Yeah, hopefully it clicks.
Right. You see the variety of online enigmas out there. And you understand that this Dragon Ball claim, however odd it seems, it fits into this bigger pattern of unresolved questions, persistent online fighters, strange internet behavior.
Our goal wasn't really to prove or disprove the Dragon Ball stuff definitively.
Though, I mean, the evidence does lean pretty heavily one way.
Right, it does. But the main thing was to understand its place in this whole world of internet mysteries. Okay, so let's wrap this deep dive up. The Dragon Ball Ultimate Mystery, thanks to that Reddit investigation, shows this incredible decades-long commitment by one person to a very specific claim about lost anime.
hmm And when we look at it through the lens of that list first article, we see parallels with other internet mysteries.
Yeah.
The persistence, the verification problems of dedicated individuals.
But also differences, right? Scale, impact, community involvement.
Definitely. But that core human curiosity about the unknown, that's the constant thread running through all of them.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Like, what other bizarre, long-running claims or incredibly persistent people are out there just doing their thing in quiet corners of the internet?
Yeah. What do these long-lasting mysteries tell us about online communities? About individual psychology, the motivations we don't always see?
Maybe this dive has just, scratched the surface. The internet's full of these strange, persistent stories just waiting.